You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. The Chris Voss Show family, the family that loves you and doesn't judge you. And you know what? We don't say we're going out for milk and don't come back, just like your dad did in 1975. So we're always here for you and always love you. Unless you're evil, we might kick you out. You know, if you're one of those evil people, we might kick you out. But other than that, we love you, and you always have us, even if your mom doesn't return your phone calls. And we all know why. So let's not talk about it. Anyway, guys, we have the most amazing guests on the show. And the most amazing references I really love. I sit at night and read the iTunes 5-star reviews you guys put up, and I just kind of curl up in a ball and I cry and smile at the same time. And it's kind of a weird, joyous time. Somebody wrote something recently: hilarious and valuable, incredibly interesting guests. Boy, that's an understatement. And valuable interviews are even better when Chris brings humor to important topics. It's easy to understand why so many fans are addicted to this podcast. Thank you very much, James I. Bond. So there you go. James Bond is giving me valuable things. So if you get a chance, go on iTunes, folks, and give us a 5-star review over there. Tell us how much you love the show. And if you don't like the show, send me an email and we'll see if I can work it out, or I'll have Rocky Balboa come give you a visit. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that, or else. But anyway, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. Also go to Chris Voss 1 at TikTok and YouTube. We, as always, have an amazing young lady on the show and brilliant mind. And of course, that's not me. So I just want to make sure we made that distinction. Jeanette Lowry joins us on the show today. She is a residual income and transformational coach. She's an established coach who focuses on residual wealth and well-being at the same time, because you want to have both. You want to have wealth and well-being, because if you only have one, well, health is wealth, as they say. Jeanette provides women an unparalleled step-by-step methodology with her signature training called Pivot. Her passion is to get women home with family by teaching them how to exit the 9-to-5 while learning entrepreneurship. Jeanette has gained over 3 decades of experience in wisdom training networks of people to leverage the buying power of many while building a global network of like-minded people who aspire to be financially independent. The passion that fuels Jeanette is being the catalyst to help women see a vision of themselves growing into the woman they are meant to be. In doing so over time, they can create the beautiful they design in life. Her ability to train others and step into leadership has allowed her to enjoy both time and financial freedom. She possesses a sophisticated understanding of brand partnerships, influence marketing, social selling, and e-commerce. Utilizing several social media platforms with the gain and ability to leverage and connections is centered to the business model through Pivot, her 16-week training program we're going to find out about now. Welcome to the show, Jeanette. How are you?
Boy, that was a mouthful, wasn't it, Chris?
There it was. Well, you've accomplished a lot of stuff. Congratulations. Welcome to the show. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs in the sky.
It's my name.com, JeanetteLowry.com.
There you go.
That's easy.
So, Jeanette, I've been looking over your website here. Give us a 30,000 overview of what you do for your clients and stuff.
What I do, I'm passionate about moms getting home and being there for their kiddos. As a 62-year young grandmother of a 2-year-old, I've got 2 adult kids, 1 boy, son, who's 33, and daughter, 26.
Wow.
And I was blessed to be able to be home with my kiddos and raise them for 20 years because of residual income. So my passion today is to show women what's possible. It doesn't have to be a 9-to-5. It doesn't have to be working 2 side jobs. you can actually start building a part-time business at home in the pockets of your day, and it grows along with your personal growth.
There you go. So why do you feel it's more important? I mean, it seems obvious, but I think it's better said in your words. Why is it important to have that a residual income or side income or something? I mean, doesn't going and slaving 9 to 5 with the boss, driving through 2 hours of traffic both ways, doesn't that sound like so much fun? You ask for a raise and they just give you pizza parties. I mean, what's the downside there?
Well, the downside is that is going away. That gold watch and that, retirement income is being cut out of boomers' lives for sure. But the great exodus that just happened, a couple of years ago during COVID, 47 million people left the workforce and said, I'm done with this.
There you go. Hold on 1 second. Let me talk to my producer. Hey, I don't get a gold watch for this crap. I'm out. Bye-bye. No, go ahead. I had to interrupt you for your joke.
No worries. Well, our kids have it right. The laptop lifestyle is really what the boomers, myself, aspire to. And I'm just lucky. I was raised in a family. My father was an entrepreneur. And so he had his own insurance company. And I saw what that leveraged time based on the income growing over the years meant. And it meant more toys for our family, more vacations, more weekends at the mountain, whatever. So I knew I could never work for somebody else, and I never have.
I know that. I'm the same way. I've been on my own since 18. I do not play well with others, basically. That's basically it. So let me ask you this, and I imagine one of the factors too, you may have mentioned it as I was setting up that last joke. You may have mentioned it is, that additional income that you can have in case, you ever get fired, laid off, or recessions, and, cyclical nature of business, or just your boss doesn't like you, or they catch you stealing staplers out of the thing. Been there, done that. No, I haven't.
I've never stolen a stapler before.
I've done that. No, I didn't. I have a great story about an employee who admitted to me he did. He was like, "Hey, want to know where to get great staplers and office supplies?" I'm like, "Where?" He goes, "Out of that office supply room." I'm like, I own that room in that company, don't you? That's all my. No, it's a big corporation. They'll never know.
Oh God.
But so the other thing is. Why should women be motivated to go home and spend time with those people? I mean, have you seen those people at some people's homes? They're some of their husbands and some of those kids. I mean, why? Why? I mean, that's not the reason you go get a job, is so you can get away from them.
Well, that's partially true for some women. But honestly, I think if you talk to 100 women, 99 would say, I wish I had more time for myself. Yeah. I wish I had more time to, be at my kids' activities. I wish I had more time to socialize with my friends, my tribe. Because most women do sacrifice a lot, especially if they're working outside of the home and raising kids. I saw a lot of moms when I was the school, auction chair and the classroom mom and the carpool mom. I saw so many working women that were just flustered every day. And it just packed on. The years went by and I said, get your butt out of retirement, Jeanette. You have way too much to offer women. You have way too much knowledge, and shame on you for not using it. So that's really what happened during COVID.
There you go. You told me a little bit about your hero's journey, your origin story. You stayed home for 20 years. Is there anything more we need to cover on how you grew up? What got you kind of down this road?
Well, I'm the oldest. I have an older brother who was born a year ahead of me, who was born mentally challenged. So born a year later, I'm the oldest daughter of a family of 6 kids. So mom and dad got married at 18, young, Catholic family, and it just became brutal from the standpoint of fighting, and they couldn't live together. Still loved each other, told us that. We remained great friends. They co-parented together, but they just couldn't live together. So at age 9, I became the little mom.
Oh, wow.
The little adult. And my mom had to go back to work. So it was one of those eye-opening situations where I'm looking at my mom struggling. My dad is, in his 10th year of building his residual income. And I'm like, I'm going to do that when I get older. I'm not doing that. I'm doing that.
No more struggle.
Yeah.
So how did you end up getting, I guess, married for quite some years to raise your family?
Yeah. So I was married to my college sweetheart. I went to the University of Oregon. I was a scholar, athlete, gymnast, and my to-be husband at the time played football for University of Oregon. He was drafted 3rd round by the Detroit Lions. So we got married, moved out to Michigan for almost 8 years.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to motherhood. My son was born in Michigan, and we moved back to Oregon when he was 2.
So why do you feel why do you think, or why do you feel that it's better that women need to maybe give up that 9 to 5 and spend more time with their children? What are some of the benefits of that to everybody involved?
Well, I think when you start looking, which happened to me with a lot of my sister's friends, as they were just absolutely shocked at what their kids were learning in school, looking over their shoulders because they were 9 to 5 working moms, but they were telecommuting, and they were seeing what the kids were being taught. That just horrified a lot of parents, and really there became an uproar with, parents, school boards, all that jazz. So I think that having a parent at home, at least one parent, mom or dad, usually it's mom, is crucial for the social structuring, the rules, the boundaries for these kids, because the internet lets them go to the world, outside the world and back. And there's a lot of bad stuff on the internet. If parents aren't,
I've seen that.
if they're not clued into, filters, and it's just a different society than when I grew up.
Yeah. I mean, when I grew up, my mom would, we played outside. I mean, she would get out of my house until the street lights come on.
Absolutely.
And when we go to the car, she'd put free children on the car, and we'd have to sit in the car where she'd be in the grocery store. And she'd even say, take the blonde one first. My little brother. So
without seatbelts, windows rolled up, and they were smoking.
They let us stand on the car as they drove down the road. They were just like, in our day and age, they actually had to have what's the joke? They actually had to have a TV commercial that said, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are, for hell's sakes?" Remember that?
We were out playing, kick the ball, and
all the parents are smoking and drinking in front of the TV, going, "Oh shit, we got kids. We should go find them."
It's dinner time. The bell rings, and the neighbors have a horn, and we've got the bell, and all the kids are back to the houses. But it's not like that today. I would never leave a young child by themselves.
That's true.
In the car.
I don't think you can either. I think either people call the cops, or if you leave kids at home. I think there's a law now and stuff.
Yes.
My parents would leave with matches in the house and the keys and a bottle of booze, and I'm 5, and I'm
absolutely
just like, what do I do with all this? And they're just like, play with it all and see what happens.
The recognition is there. The country's changed, the world's changed. Our kids are absolutely 25 years ahead of where we were, but their capabilities right now socially are so diminished because they don't have a lot of that grounded schooling around them.
There you go.
Traditions and all that jazz.
And I support what you say, that having 2 parents in the home, at least the masculine and feminine, there's always going to be a dominant one. In the home is important in the shaping of human beings.
Yes.
I grew up like you did, I think you grew up with a single mom, but you provided that for your children, to a 2-parent household. I grew up in a 2-parent household. Now, my parents were the last 2 people who should have been met. Like, they were the most opposite personalities. My dad was probably a narcissist, and they did not. They got along pretty well, but they were not happy with each other or.
And you saw that, I'm sure you sensed.
Oh yeah, we saw it and sensed it. But there are things that we're designed as a man and woman to be different. There is no equality in the universe. It's not designed that way. We're designed to be complementary to each other and
Yes.
very different. But the complementary part, people seem to forget in today's day and age. And what you learn from a father, what you learn from a mother are two different things, and
Completely.
both are equally important.
Yep.
But also watching the dynamics between the two of them. And people don't realize this. When young boys grow up and they watch a single mother struggle, which she will,
Uh-huh.
they will think that that's normal, and they will seek out women who struggle,
Absolutely.
and they will pick people that you can't fix, and
Yeah.
then they'll have problems in their relationships. Of course, they'll bring children into it, and then God knows what goes from there. The same thing with young women, single women. They'll sometimes make bad choices because they're just trying to find a man to accept them because they didn't have their father in life. I've dated for 50. I'm 55. I've dated all my life. I've seen what that looks like over a lifetime
Yes.
of where a father isn't in a woman's childhood and setting that imprint for what a good masculine man is and what a mother sets for that. So it's a real big deal, I believe.
Yes.
And my parents, they raised us, even though they weren't happy, for 20 years, God bless them. And one day they called us up after we'd all left the house, and they said, we decided, I know this is going to be hard for you guys. We decided that we're going to get divorced now. And we're like, oh, thank God. Wow, great. Glad you guys could finally come around. Yeah, we've been here for years, man. Years. Like a decade, we knew this was coming. But
that is so good that you guys were honest with them, though. I mean,
and they were like, you're not shocked, you're not upset. No, this is probably good for you too. At this point, we're out of the house, so we're out of the blast zone.
I lost my mom 26 years ago when my daughter was born, 2 weeks after she was born.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to get down so that she could hold her newborn baby
awesome.
girl. Yeah. But my dad never remarried. He's 82. No, he's 82. I'm 62. And he's still active, vibrant, travels, does lifting, jogs, because he was always in love with mom. And that's really why I feel like we were raised in a 2-family parenting home, because we were always switching off, never badmouthed each other, didn't talk negative, which is so crucial.
This sounds really dysfunctional by today's society standards.
Yeah, no kidding.
You got along? What?
I know.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
It's like when I see my friends, they take their children out for walks and stuff, and I'm like, that's bad parenting. You're supposed to send them home in front of the TV and their iPads. Don't take them outside. But there you go. So let me ask you this: there's a lot of societal pressures, and I don't want to throw this on societal pressures because I've seen the hate that women get online over this when they talk about staying at home, being a stay-at-home mother.
Mm-hmm.
They get a lot of crap online. They get shamed. They get viciously the comments of other women, and it's not really like men don't care. I mean, hey, if you want to stay at home, go stay at home. Men don't care. And so some people say, well, society says. No, they don't. It's other women that really hate on other women to stay home. So how do you overcome this mindset where women believe they have to try and do everything? They have to try and have a career. They have to try and do the 9-to-5 corporate and then stay at home and try and do everything at once. And how do you get them to realize that maybe stretching it that far isn't good? That
leads to burnout.
Yeah.
That always will lead to burnout. And I had to discover that myself. I mean, I've had years of mindset training and going back through paradigms, and I'm just a student of education. I love studying new things, all the newest mindset things, you name it, I've been there. And so I am able to pass my knowledge off to women, and I can see them in a minute online. The ones that are insecure, who just want to show up and they have nothing to offer, but their beauty. Yeah. And then I see the ones that are really, mentally there, and they've got a lot of stuff to offer, but they don't know how to present themselves online.
The first set, you must have been in the coffee shop for my first dates. So the beauty ones.
I was a waitress for many years.
There you go.
During college.
But I think what you're saying is you can still do the business part, and if you want to hustle the business and do the whole kind of quote 9-to-5, you can do it, but you can do it at home with residual income. And so then you still have maybe a better work-life balance.
Well, and also it gives you an end point, like a stop point for the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because building an online business, can happen quickly if you're all in and you've got the hours to put in. But most people will put 15 minutes here, an hour here, 2, hours here. So maybe 15 hours a week is my full-time job. That's full-time for me. But at the same time, you start out, you're going to put a lot of time and energy into it, which I did, when I built my first company. So it's an endpoint so they can say, I can jump off this gerbil wheel, Ernie of the Broke wheel of going back and forth 9 to 5 every day for the rest of my life. In 5 years, I can see my exit point. And that's part of the training, is showing them the vision, teaching the compensation so that they understand where the money comes from, and getting them into the mindset where they are business owners.
There you go. And being a business owner is so much nicer. You have control of your life. You have control over your paychecks for the most part. Depending upon whether your clients pay their bills.
People you want to hang out with.
or if you don't, you can. I don't know. I don't have a joke for that.
Pick your tribe. It's so important.
Pick your tribe. There you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to hang out with Bob at the office, who's always leering at you, and
absolutely,
and Joanne, who tells bad jokes and smells bad. Poor Joanne. I don't know. We just can't ever get Joanne fixed right. She has issues. And then you got that mean boss who's always writing you out for stuff, like stealing the staplers and stuff. I'm scarred.
I don't know how people take it, honestly, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know how people every day go into a job they hate, but they have to have the money. There's so many ways to make money today with everything online, e-commerce. There's so many different options. But I think people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly. And residual income, most of my life, I've been working from home since 2004 when I got rid of my last partner. And residual income is so nice, especially if you can get it from multiple incomes. Because if one dries up, or, business conditions change, or cyclical nature sometimes, but if one dries up, you've got these other ones to rely on, and you sleep so much better at night when you have multiple streams of income. And
that's the future, Chris. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because people that just have one stream of income, like a job, they're putting their eggs in one basket. And we've seen the horror stories and the nightmares that have happened when, the sole producer loses his or her job. And then they're competing against robots or, AI or younger kids that don't need to be paid as much, or the insurance isn't as hefty. So it's one of those things. If you're in your, mid 30s, 40s and above, you need to have multiple income streams. And they say 90% of people don't even have $10,000 in the bank.
Yeah. I think most people can't go a month or two without income without going in the toilet.
As a safety net.
Yeah.
So that's, multiple income streams. Do it in the pockets of your day. And my big thing is good nutrition, clean eating, health is your first wealth, as you said. It's everything.
Let's talk about that here. But first, let me close out one thing. One nice thing about residual income is recently with COVID and everything, the childcare, which was already ginormous, skyrocketed. And I know just recently, I think it's in October, the COVID funding for the childcare and facilities and stuff, there was is running out or ran out. I don't know if it's run out yet, but they were saying, I was reading this New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and WAPO. They were saying that when that's going to happen, there's going to be hundreds of closures of these childcare facilities that can't function and operate. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are like, hey, one of us has to quit their job and go home and work. So you have an endless supply of business probably coming at you. And that's one of the things you need to think of too. I don't think childcare is going to get any cheaper. I know people that are paying a house payment for childcare for what I pay
absolutely.
for a very large house.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's why I sold all my kids to a long time ago, because daddy needed a new BMW. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I didn't never have kids. But let's get into the health part of it, because work-life health balance is really important.
Yeah. So, because I was a gymnast starting at age 9, I competed, elite gymnastics through college. I was always into having to eat right, to compete. And we had Olympic coaches at the training center, et cetera. So I was blessed to have learned very young. And I was taking vitamins and, nutrition before anybody knew what the difference between dead food and, real clean food was. Yeah. So now that the buzzwords are starting to come out over the last 5-10 years about eating clean, and it's like intermittent fasting, I've been doing that my whole life. So it's just a matter of educating people on, really, if you're buying boxes and cans at the grocery store, you're eating dead food that's just been fortified. And your body really, a lot of it is alien to your body. So your body goes, oh my God, what is this you're swallowing now? And just kind of tucks it away into the fat cells. And people wonder why they're getting fatter. Well, besides the fact that the sugar industry hijacked our food.
Yeah, it's in everything.
40 years ago, everything. And intentionally, disease is all related to nutrition, period. It all comes down to that.
Yeah, it is. I would totally agree with you. That's one thing I learned when I lost weight, is how much bad foods there was out there. And they even hide sugar now. I think there's mononuclear. There's there's all sorts of different trick words they have for it now, which is basically just refined sugar. And the problem is, I think, for both men and women, and especially moms tend to drive themselves, and they take care of everybody first and take care of themselves last, which they shouldn't do, because if you can't give if you help other people. But moms tend to, take care of the kids first and feed them. And, they usually eat last. And so they probably eat whatever is left over, those nasty frozen fish sticks.
Fish sticks and tater tots like we grew up on.
Yeah. Only ours would probably had real potatoes in them now.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Nuclear fission and I don't know, something from Chernobyl left over. They dug up out of the yard.
Oh, it's frightening.
And they're like, yeah, put this in there. It'll make them sparkle. They'll feel better. But trying to achieve a true work-life balance is really important. And if you eat better, you exercise, and then you do your work, you're just going to show up a whole lot more of a complete human being.
People are so amazed when the first time they do, say, the 2-day intermittent fasting supported by a good nutritional cleansing drink to detox the body. They can't believe, I couldn't believe the first time, because I had been doing it just strictly with water, but I couldn't believe how the fog was lifted off my head and the inflammation was gone, so I could lift my arms up over my head.
Oh, really?
Gymnastics inflammation was
that's right.
Chronic. And so when our body's the miracle, I always say this, I'm not selling hype or, doesn't cure anything. But when you eat clean food and you can detox the chemicals from your body, you will feel like $1 million. And you will age backwards. And that's really what has been happening, for those of us who have been eating clean and trying to get the right nutrition into our bodies.
There you go. And intermittent fasting is one of the things I love. I do it every day. I wake up, I have my coffee, water, and then somewhere when I start getting some pangs, I have apple cider vinegar, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and some water. And then if I have some more pangs later, I have lemons and lemon water. And
keeps
then
your body alkalined.
It does. Yeah. In fact, one trick that I found, I don't know if you know about this, but
it sounds oxymoronish because, lemon is citrus.
Yeah.
And you'd think it would make it acidic, but it's just the opposite.
It really is. And it'll kill your pangs too. One thing I found, I don't know if you've heard of this though, there's a company here in Utah called Redmond Salt, and they sell their salt all over the world. It's really popular. And I was in their shop one time and they said, hey, do you intermittent fast there? And they had this bag of these giant salt rocks. And I don't know how it looks kind of weird in a bag. That's like a salt rock, and you can see the minerals in it.
Yeah.
And they sell this giant bag of these giant salt rocks about the size of your palm, and they're like, yeah, it helps you intermittent fast. And I was like, come on, whatever, man. And they're like, no, it's minerals. And I go, I'll try it. What the hell? And you know what? You'll take and suck on a little bit of that if you get hunger pains, and it will take them away. And it's electrolytes basically.
Well, and minerals are the spark plugs in our body.
Yeah.
Enzymes, minerals, spark plugs to get that fire going. So
yeah, it's so important.
So you do daily intermittent. So you go to bed at night and then you wait to eat for like 12 hours before you eat again.
Or as long as I can, if I'm like, sometimes I worked out the night before and I'm suffering a little bit like I was today, I'll break it 2 hours early, but that consistency just makes all the difference. And you're right. The brain fog goes away. Yes. You feel better. If I can do a 20-hour fast and, I'm just cooking along and I'm like, hey, I don't feel like eating. Well,
I teach 24 and 48-hour fasts.
There you go.
For people that want to flush fat, the first day is to get the body detox, the cells detox, so that you go from acidic to alkalinic. The second day is really when the metabolism is firing because there's no food in there. And so it's able to burn some of that fat.
Get those ketones
and
running.
You can flush it out. Yeah. So it's a 2-day, but it's a supported. So it's supported with minerals and phytonutrients and adaptogens, etc.
There you go. And that's really important. You got to have that support because a lot of people try and fast without any of that support. And a lot of people don't realize sometimes when you're hungry, it's just you're dehydrated. You don't really want food. Your body's just craving anything for dehydration.
You got to drink water. Exactly. Half your body weight in water every single day.
Half your body weight?
So say somebody weighs 200 pounds, they should drink 100 ounces of water.
Oh, okay, there you go.
In a day. Yep.
All right. I'm thinking 100 pounds.
Yeah. No.
Ounces a lot of water. Don't do that, folks. That water is so important because we're basically, I don't know, fish. As we are. So, or we used to be, I think, aren't we like 96% water or salt or something like that?
Yeah, more than that.
Really? Is it more than that?
98%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you sound like you're so, informed about nutrition. I can talk to some moms sometimes and they've not even heard of adaptogens, things like that. So, but one of the things that really got me into this when I was like 9, I started to get interested because I had 2 aunts and uncles that died of cancer.
Oh, wow. And
you just go, okay, well, they were smokers, or why did she die of cancer? So when you start looking at autopsies, this is all factual. You can go look it up. When they open up bodies that are deceased and they died of cancer, they're entirely acidic.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So cancer thrives in an acidic environment. So if you want to at least have chances to stave off cancer, you should be in an alkaline state every day, all day.
I have this water that I get called Dylan. It's a Dylan filter system, and it's got one of those at the bottom of the bottle. It's got one of those alkaline thingies. So I use that to alkalize my water. And then, of course, if you really want to go crazy, you can buy the pee strips so you can check your alkalinity. Do you have clients do that?
Absolutely. I tell people to do that during, the 1-2-day fast because it's proof in the pee.
Yeah, proof in the pee. You can see what your alkalinity is. And it's really easy to test.
Yeah,
and, but yeah, you're right. If you have too much alkalinity in your body, like everything slows down and people don't realize these things. So it's great that you're out there helping them. So let's talk about some of the programs that you do on your website, what you do for people and how you do it. You've got a boot camp, 4-week program and several different things. Let's pitch all that out.
Well, I do. I start with my signature program starts with the wellness portion of getting these women back into their bodies that they had 10 years ago. Oh. Because one of the things that I've learned in my years of life on this earth is that the confidence level of women will only come up equivalent to where their weight is. So if their weight goes down, their confidence goes up. And people are really struggling with weight today because of the food we have. And they don't know how to eat clean, or they don't know that women should be lifting weights, whether, bands or tubes or light weights. We need to have muscle. We start losing our, metabolism and muscle after the age of 35. So I'm a weightlifter. I love doing the HIIT type workouts now. I used to teach for 18 years. So I've been, aerobics and step and all that stuff that killed most of our bodies. But light resistance is crucial. And a lot of women don't think about that. But that's to get the spark plugs going again. So we go through all that food stuff, grocery stuff. We teach them how to intermittent fast, and then mindset.
There you go. Now, is this all part of the Pivot program that you kind of run?
And I have 4-week programs, or I've got 1-day programs, or I've got online free resources through my website, so they can go look at a class and download, a workbook to do.
And so basically, they're just not focusing on one thing with you, financial freedom or health. They're getting both. So they're getting a complete package for their design.
Well, and they're also getting the business part of it, teaching them how to have a business from home, the tax write-offs and all that jazz, as well as online business, how to do social media, setting up your platform, getting your, photos right, banners right, things like that. And then teaching them about Robert Kiyosaki's, cash flow quadrant, which is one of my lifetime heroes. I love all of his books. But, the cash flow quadrant just basically differentiates linear income versus leveraged income, and how 95% of people work on, the side that only 5% of wealth is created, which is working for somebody else or being self-employed. And how do you get to that other side? You've got to network, you've got to leverage, you've got to have compounded money or people working in your favor. And that's really what happens with my business, is I can put them over on the right hand of that quadrant, whereby they can step back and the money continues coming in regardless of their efforts.
There you go. That's the beautiful part about residual income too, is you're not having to spend active time doing it. You kind of set it up and you can't really forget it, but you can set it and then it will generate income. And you just kind of have to, it's kind of like spinning plates. You just have to kind of keep the plate spinning and check in, touch in, and it depends on, the different consumption that you have there. I noticed there's some free resources on your website. Do you want to tease those out to people?
Yeah. So one of the free resources talks about this, the Masterclass 3, I believe it is, talks about Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant. And it teaches people how to differentiate where they are, leverage linear income, and how you can get to that other side without capital and without, specialized business or schooling. So that's on there. There's also one on mindset, groceries, weight. So they can plug in and just download some resources, and there's links in there for contacting me. We can set up a Zoom. I can answer questions and move forward from there. I will have another 4-week boot camp coming up at the end of October, so I'll put that on my website as well.
There you go. And those are part of your masterclass methodology masterclasses. And
the masterclass basically paints the big picture of what my Pivot 16-week program entails.
There you go. Well, I think this is really important. And I think more and more, motherhood is one of the greatest jobs in the world, if not the greatest, because if it wasn't for motherhood, none of us would be here. So, we women carry the ability to propagate the species, and without them, we're pretty screwed. It would be over pretty quickly. We wouldn't even
Especially what kids are being taught today about who can have babies.
That's true. Well,
don't get me started.
Having one right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't get me started.
Don't write me.
Well, and motherhood is very underappreciated. Truly, it's very underappreciated.
Let me ask you this: is it though really?
Until the kids leave the nest, then they appreciate. Oh my gosh!
There you go. I don't know. Is motherhood is not appreciated? Because I love my mother. And I think most men recognize how important women and mothers are in the world. I know there's a lot of social difference. There's different people in the social sphere out there that are really They don't seem to like motherhood. They don't seem to like families.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, I don't know, but I'm just going to put my card out there. I love my mother, and she's the most valuable person in my life. And without her, I wouldn't be here.
Well, here's a tip to all young men that are dating, or young women, excuse me, that are dating. If the guy you're dating has a good relationship with his mama, that's a good catch.
That is a good catch.
If everything else falls into place.
As long as he's not one of those guys, because I was one friend one time who no woman was as good as his mom. And I'd be like, that's a great catch right there. And he was
no.
She's not as good as my mom. And I'm like, after a few breakups, I'm like, dude, you're not going to find anybody as good as your mom.
Well, no woman's going to want to be be to that.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be your mom. Yeah.
Thanks. No thanks.
Yeah. And your mom will unconditionally love you. Most women won't. Get a dog if you want unconditional love. That's just the way the gig works. That's how it works. It's biology.
Which is why boomers always get dogs after the kids leave the nest, right?
That's true. That's true. I did it the opposite way. I got the dogs first and then never got the kids. So that's how it worked out. I got the dogs and I'm like, you know what? These guys are better than kids. I've seen all my friends have teenagers right now. And I'm just like, I'm keeping the dogs.
Oh man. Yeah. Especially teenage. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But we need more women like you are championing how important it is to stay in the home and well, get residual stuff and other stuff. And there's no shame on either side. If you want to do something, go knock yourself out. But your children are going to be more developed with a feminine and a masculine in the home. They need to see that interplay. They need to see how, a person who's emotional and a person who's logical deal with each other and their relationships. Yes. You learn so much as a child as a foundation, your relationship with your mother, with your father, or whatever, masculine and feminine, which is really what it comes down to. And you see the interplay. And even if it's not a healthy interplay, you see it. You see how one person deals with the other and the other person deals, and it gives you something to work with, a toolbox to work with. And if you don't have that, it seems like there's a lot of people in our society that are like, I can do both jobs. I can be the mother and the father. No, you can't. That's this BS.
I'm sure you know about paradigms. We all have them from our growing up years. And what happens is we go on this autopilot after, the age of 10, 12. We go on autopilot. So our reactions to things, or the way we answer things, or the way we think, all came from our basic, family structure, mom, dad, whoever the influencers were under the age of 10. And with that mindset moving into adulthood, you make most of your decisions by that. Until you can recognize that is an autopilot reaction, and you really step back and say, I am not going to do this. Money paradigms are huge for women. Like, I'll never have enough. I'm not good enough. My mom never made more than, $50,000 a year.
Wow.
So things like that. Those paradigms have to be snapped, and you have to rebuild and rewire the brain through training, consistency, repetition to create that new version of yourself. And so it's not about just saying, fill out this form and let's, say you're going to be this kind of a woman versus this kind. It truly is a step-by-step growth. Your money will follow your growth.
There you go. And having that work-life balance, because you can have the greatest job in the world, but if you're unhealthy and you're miserable inside because you're unhealthy, it affects your brain, and then your brain's unhealthy. And then, you either hate everybody or everyone hates you, or both, which is Friday's disease, cancer, death.
Most of the women I talked to who had full-time jobs, 6-figure incomes and higher, were miserable. They were miserable. Once they got past the ego of, they climbed the ladder, got to the top. Now what? They're looking inside going, I'm empty. I'm unhappy. So I get to work with a lot of those kind of women who say, enough, I'm taking my life back. And they usually find that they make more money in a leveraged vehicle because
they have control, right?
Yeah. Because
they have
they're
control over how much money they can make. Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
So,
and then you're usually happier. And plus you feel more self-empowered and self-reliance. I mean, being self-actualized as an entrepreneur is something else.
So good.
It's hard sometimes, but it teaches you. It teaches you to really be self-actualized and self-accountable, which is really great.
Absolutely.
Well, Jeanette, it's been wonderfully having on the show. Thank you very much for coming on. Give us your .com one more time as we go out. It's
JeanetteLowry.com, as my name is spelled.
There you go. Folks, look her up, check her out, and check out her services. I highly recommend it. This just in, you can't have everything. Whoever told you can have everything freaking lied to you. There is no everything. It's madness to pursue everything, but you can have a good, healthy work-life balance. So that's my point. I'm sticking to it. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss. Watch for this on the LinkedIn newsletter, and go to TikTok at Chris Voss 1. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Chris.